Today's a big day for AEW news. We got a lot of stuff to talk about, and it's all coming up right here on the Ango Show. Yes. Hopefully everybody's having a great week. This one is a big one for AEW, so I think we should talk about it. Let's start off with Tommy Billington, the Dynamite Kid. I thought this was a very interesting story because in the past we have talked about stories where somebody may have appeared on AEW Dark or Dark Elevation, and then AEW didn't sign them, and then they joined WWE. Of course, Cora Jade, Tesha Price, who is now known as Fallon Henley, Kiana James. Like, there were so many people who appeared on AEW Dark, and then they never stayed with AEW, or they never signed with AEW, right? Now, it's very weird that we're talking about this because you have to wonder, when did WWE take notice to Tommy Billington? So while speaking on Instagram Live, Dax Harwood was basically talking about how Billington's AEW contract came together, and he noted that WWE was interested in him. He says, Tommy got there, and I hope he doesn't mind me saying this, but he told me about some of his financial woes. He had moved himself all the way to Canada to better his opportunities for wrestling. He told me about his financial woes, and I told him that night, I said, after tonight, we're going to get you a job. We had the match. Obviously, he showed out. He was offered a contract on the spot right there. He didn't accept just yet, but he was offered a contract right on the spot. I know the very next day, WWE also reached out to someone close to Tommy and asked about getting him there. There was, I don't want to say a bidding war, but there was some power plays, and Tom decided he wanted to come to AEW. So I think you'll see more of Tommy Billington in AEW to come. Now, this is really interesting. Because you have to wonder, when did WWE actually have interest in him, right? Like, that's a very big question to ask. And you have to remember, this is one of the cons about AEW. They do put unsigned talent on their show. And sometimes when you have a great TV deal like AEW has, people in WWE are paying attention. It could open an opportunity for them to go to WWE. Now, I don't know what Tommy Billington's long-term ceiling is. I don't know. But what I do know is I watched him and Dax Harwood, and I thought that was a fantastic match. And I can understand why WWE had interest. Now, obviously, Tommy Billington decided to sign with AEW, and that's completely fine. But it goes to show you that sometimes you got to be careful who you're highlighting, because WWE will swoop them right in. And I don't know what's WWE's recruiting efforts these days. Obviously, there's a big focus on NIL, but I would suggest that WWE might try to find these people before they go to AEW in the event that they do sign with AEW. And obviously that doesn't happen all the time, but that's why I mentioned it was very interesting when you saw Cora Jade, or just some of these other women who appeared in AEW and then signed with WWE. WWE obviously got them at a good time, but not everybody's going to join your company. And that's obviously an example here with Tommy Billington. Good stuff. Glad to hear that he got a deal, and that's awesome. Let's talk a little bit about AEW stadium plans. We've heard about Texas. We obviously know about Wembley Stadium. Yeah, this is pretty cool. Apparently, AEW is planning for a stadium show in Australia in 2025. Plans have already advanced, according to the Sporting News, that the company is planning to hold a stadium show there. The promotion has scouted venues on the east coast of the country as potential host sites. Venues that have been looked at include Sydney's Aliens Stadium, Melbourne's Marvel Stadium, and Brisbane's Suncorp Stadium. The entertainment company TEG will support the AEW event. The product currently airs on ESPN in the country and as well as New Zealand. However, there has yet to become a comment or confirmation coming from AEW. Look, I mean, you guys can sit here and discuss AEW's creative. You guys can sit there and talk about how maybe you don't like the company, and that's completely fine. We're not talking about the entertainment level of AEW. What we're talking about is like the physical business aspect of AEW. And I say this every time. You want international growth. You want to be able to do stadium shows. It's one of the things that WWE has done really well. WWE is doing international PLEs. They're getting paid to do them in these countries. The crowds come out and go absolutely crazy. how do you not want a second company to be able to achieve the same thing? It doesn't make sense. Unless you're a tribalist and like one of those fake tribalists, there's no reason why somebody would be disappointed in the idea that a second company could be achieving something this great. Now, does it mean that AEW is going to put 50, 60,000 people in a stadium every single time? I don't know. But I do know that being in a stadium show will definitely make pay-per-views feel a lot bigger than they are. There's a reason why All In comes across as such a big deal, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that it's at Wembley. So we could sit here and argue back and forth about Tony Khan's business decisions or creative control or lack of creative control or drama. We could talk about all those things, and of course there is a time for those conversations. But when it comes to something like this, guys, I'm not going to just praise WWE and then all of a sudden AEW does it and then not praise them. They should be given praise. It's a very remarkable thing. A second wrestling company is attempting to do things that we have not seen in such a long time. And here's the thing, that's part of being a challenger brand. WWE is doing an exceptional job with their stadium shows. Okay? AEW trying to do the same thing is nice. Is it too soon, too fast? I don't know. I don't have the numbers in front of me to tell you guys whether AEW is huge in Australia. But I do know that WWE is doing big things in Australia, and that's why they're able to sell tickets in Australia. I would assume that AEW could do a pretty good job, and honestly, I look forward to seeing what they can do. International growth is great. That's how you grow the business. And if you're getting paid from a municipality or an organization to help bring you there, that makes it even better. And you know what else is even better? Tony Khan seems to be very, very, very keen on these big announcements. We talked about it a little bit the other day. Now there's a little bit more. While speaking to TV Insider, Tony Khan says that AEW is close to making the most important announcements in the company's history. He says it's a very exciting time in AEW for many reasons. We're days away from AEW All In. This is the most important and exciting time in AEW's history. In addition to what is happening in the ring, there are so many exciting things happening behind the scenes at AEW right now. We are on the verge of the most important announcements in the history of AEW, and there are multiple aspects. The arrival of these announcements are imminent. We'll have big news that could come at any time. Isn't that the best kind of wrestling surprise when you know something is coming and you want it and it's exciting, but you're not sure when it's going to happen? You have that feeling it's going to happen. In this case, I have more than a feeling, to paraphrase Boston. I have been working on this for a long time. We have a great team here. The future of AEW is very bright. Good. Let's talk about this. Tony Khan, big announcements. Tonight is Dynamite. We'll see if they pop an announcement off tonight. I don't know. I don't know when to expect it or where to expect it, but clearly Tony Khan is hyping it up. This is Tony Khan's chance to shock the world. If it's new TV deals, streaming on HBO Max, whatever it may be, whatever the announcements are, if they deliver big announcements, this will be huge for AEW. If they don't deliver big announcements to, for AEW, people will not trust Tony Khan. It's as simple as that. It's the easiest way to explain it. Ladies and gentlemen, let's see. Should we get excited? Should we not get excited? I don't know. I'll be tuning into Dynamite. I want to see if they announce something soon. Maybe they'll announce it at All In. I'm not sure. But at the end of the day, the company right now, television-wise, is kind of struggling in terms of numbers. But I do feel like they have improved leaps and bounds with their creative. And because of that, I do want some more optimism for this company. Thankfully, there seems to actually be some. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the Ango Show.